Leading the group is a muscular warrior with a half-shaved head, a thick beard, and a cold expression, followed by 3 companions with different expressions, one cold, one calm, and the last one looking panicked and sticking out his tongue. The composition emphasizes the overwhelming aura of this group, signaling that they will play a crucial role in the new chapter. In a grand meeting room, the characters are discussing conflicts regarding their plan of action. A long-haired man stands up, slams his hand on the table, and angrily shouts, "This is not what we agreed upon." Meanwhile, the muscular warrior remains calm, sitting with his arms crossed, showing little concern for the unfolding anger, creating a tense contrast between the parties in the meeting. During the tense meeting, a young man strongly objects to involving Mr. Double in the fight, claiming it was not part of the original agreement. However, Mr. Double calmly accepts, while the bald warrior reassures that he will only be in the rear and won't be in danger. Although still somewhat hesitant, the situation suggests that the old man is about to be drawn into a challenging task. The tense meeting continues as someone proposes recruiting more adventurers for support, but is countered by the argument that the monsters won't wait. Another person expresses concern for the villagers' safety, urging action as soon as possible. Weevil angrily shouts, asserting that Mr. Double is also a villager and deserves protection like everyone else, highlighting the internal divisions on how to respond to the impending threat. The bald warrior asserts that having a wizard like Mr. Double will increase their chances of victory and reduce casualties on their side. Although someone remains concerned for Mr. Double's safety, the warrior vows to ensure his safety by swearing on his adventurer's emblem, demonstrating the depth of his determination and calculation in the plan to attack the monsters. Despite concerns for his safety, the old man Double insists he's fine and agrees to participate in eliminating the monsters so the villagers can rest easy. Admitting that his skills may have faded with time, he still maintains his fighting spirit, causing the warrior to laugh loudly and place his full trust in him for the upcoming battle. When everyone thinks they have finalized the agreement, a young priest angrily objects, demanding a renegotiation of the contract. While the bald warrior appears indifferent and dismissive, the bald-headed warrior scolds the commotion. However, tensions escalate when the serious old man, Double, suddenly speaks up, commanding the attention of the entire meeting room. On a quiet evening, Mr. Double brings firewood to a villager's house as usual. She opens the door with a friendly smile, thanking him for the familiar gift, the firewood that keeps her warm on cold nights. The atmosphere between them exudes warmth and familiarity, showing that Double is a respected member of the community. The woman invited Mr. Double to stay for dinner after receiving the firewood, but he declined because he still had to deliver to another house. However, her enthusiasm softened him, and he accepted staying for a while. Ren happened to witness this from afar, his expression slightly surprised, but seemingly also subtly pleased. The warm atmosphere spread, showcasing the close relationship between Double and the villagers. During the warm dinner, the young man asked Mr. Double if he was okay facing the monsters. Mr. Double replied calmly, while the young man and the woman expressed their concerns about the bad rumors surrounding the adventurers. The atmosphere was light, but it hid an underlying anxiety about the impending dangers. During dinner, the villagers discussed the group of adventurers with a not-so-friendly attitude. They were criticized for being rude, lacking manners, and having a bad influence on children. Ren silently agreed with the general sentiment, while Mr. Double nodded in confirmation, having witnessed their strength firsthand. The woman reminded Ren to keep his distance, and he obediently agreed. The atmosphere in the house remained warm, but the suspicion towards outsiders lingered. Ren thought to himself when he learned that Mr. Double had met and cooperated with the group of adventurers. Despite their roughness, their combat skills were undeniably excellent. He was surprised by the old man's insight and calmness. A village woman also chimed in, reminding that Mr. Double had lived there since the village was founded, a testament to his reputation and trust built over a long time. The atmosphere in the kitchen became lighter, but a sense of something deeper lingered behind Ren's eyes. In the warm atmosphere of the meal, Mr. Double reminisced about the village's development, from its early days to the present, with crops thriving and the population growing. Ren listened quietly, sensing the deep attachment Mr. Double had for the land. With an affectionate gaze, Mr. Double likened the village to children growing up little by little. The young man's suggestion to share stories of the past made the atmosphere even cozier, stirring up memories hidden in Mr. Double's mind. After the warm dinner, Mr. Double stood up to bid farewell, grateful for the generous meal. Despite the dangers still lurking outside from the monsters, he reassured everyone with a calm smile. "Don't worry, they'll disappear soon." His words and resolute gaze made Ren and the others feel more confident, as if the village would always be safe with him around. Ren looked up at Mr. Double with eyes full of trust. Mr. Double gently patted Ren's head to reassure him, but his clumsy gesture left Ren's hair messy. Still, Mr. Double's words, "I'm sure," and his kind face brought an unusual sense of safety. Ren couldn't help but think, he's really not good at patting heads, but he felt more reassured than ever. The Wren family saw Mr. Double off into the night, the lantern in his hand lighting up the path ahead. They smiled and bid farewell, promising that if they had the opportunity, they would have a proper meal together next time. Wren watched as Mr. Double's figure disappeared into the distance, feeling a complex mix of emotions, warmth and worry. The night was quiet, but something felt unsettling. Mr. Double joined the group of adventurers as they entered the forest where the monsters were hiding. Along the way, one of the group members continuously questioned him about his strength and weaknesses, clearly showing his distrust. As they approached the battlefield, the tension grew. The leader asked Mr. Double if he was ready, and he calmly confirmed ahead of them the monsters were waiting. In the quiet forest, a young soldier sat by the campfire and coldly announced, "They're here." The atmosphere immediately became tense. Mr. Double's group appeared, and the bald man with a thick beard apologized for keeping them waiting. Mr. Double's eyes were cold and cautious. A confrontation was about to begin. The big bald man asked to eat a meal before they acted, then devoured the food aggressively. Meanwhile, Mr. Double maintained a stern gaze, not relaxing at all. He interrupted the man coldly. "How much longer do you plan to drag this out? Where are the monsters?" His suspicion growing. The bald man burst into a maniacal laugh, then coldly declared, "There are no monsters." Mr. Double was taken aback, his eyes becoming heavy and serious. He began to realize the horrific truth behind the requests for help. "You're saying that a trap had been set from the start?" Mr. Double fell silent, his eyes weighed down as he faced the sinister and fake smile of the adventurers. The bald man repeated with a sarcastic tone that there were no monsters, once again emphasizing the terrifying truth. He stepped forward, his voice slow but full of menace. "We've searched everywhere. Don't misunderstand." The atmosphere became ominous, signaling a dark conspiracy slowly unfolding. While Mr. Double was still questioning the true purpose, the leader's subordinates suddenly appeared from all sides, surrounding him in the forest. The leader sat calmly, smiling coldly, saying that his subordinates could now focus on their main task, since they knew there were no monsters. Mr. Double realized the true plot, his face frozen, his eyes full of caution as everything gradually revealed itself to be a dangerous trap targeting him. The leader coldly declared that their true target was the village, the one Mr. Double was protecting. That statement was like a declaration of war, making Mr. Double realize that the entire group were robbers disguising themselves as adventurers. He stared at the opponent, questioning the adventurer's badge that the leader wore, then calmly uttered a single word. "Robbers," affirming the harsh truth and marking the beginning of a tense confrontation. The robber confessed that he had killed a real adventurer to steal his badge, then used it to deceive the innocent and naive villagers. He boasted that only the wizard, Mr. Double, was sharp enough to suspect and thwart their plan. In response to this arrogant attitude, Mr. Double could only exclaim in indignation, "What have you done?" A question that was like an accusation and sparked a righteous confrontation. The leader confidently declared that the village would belong to them, emphasizing that with their overwhelming numbers, the old wizard had no chance. He mocked Mr. Double, saying it would be easy to capture the village. However, Mr. Double remained calm, replying, "That village is still young, but there's nothing there for you." The robbers laughed, thinking Mr. Double's words were a plea, but his eyes showed no fear, just a cold warning of an impending storm. The leader cruelly declared that they would send the entire village to the other world so they wouldn't be lonely, but Mr. Double responded calmly, "I understand," and turned to walk away, showing no fear. The leader jeered, saying they should have attacked the village directly instead of beating around the bush, but Mr. Double continued, "There are many things worth protecting in that village." The robber's expression faltered for a moment, as if he had realized he had crossed a line that shouldn't be crossed. Mr. Double finally revealed his true strength. While the robbers were still laughing, he summoned a black fireball that blazed in his hand, his eyes sharp as a knife. With a resolute tone, he declared, "This situation is actually quite advantageous. I won't let you reach the village." The robbers were stunned for a moment, then their leader burst into laughter, but it was clear he had felt the real pressure from this interesting old man. There was no doubt the battle had officially begun. Mr. Double stood in a fierce fighting stance, his eyes cold and sharp, and his arm unleashed a powerful magical blast like a whirlwind of fire. His cloak fluttered behind him, and the magical light cast on his mature face was full of determination. This image seemed to affirm that the battle to protect the village had officially entered a life-or-death stage. Early in the morning at the village, a little girl ran to Ren in a panic, reporting that Mr. Double was in danger. Ren rubbed his eyes and called out to Turner, still not fully awake, wondering what was happening so early in the morning. The tense atmosphere indicated that a major crisis was approaching. Turner anxiously asked about Mr. Double's situation, but the little girl remained silent and pulled him along. On the way, she informed him that not only Mr. Double, but also the group of adventurers had disappeared. Turner gradually realized something was off. His eyes filled with unease as he thought about the worst-case scenario. Turner tried to reassure himself with the hypothesis that Mr. Double had simply gone to fight monsters with the adventurers. He kept asking to confirm, hoping this was the truth. However, the little girl's silent gaze and somber expression made him even more uneasy. It seemed she was hiding something serious. Turner had a premonition that something was wrong. Even if Mr. Double had left the village to destroy monsters, she suspected there weren't any in the forest. Meanwhile, Ren became increasingly worried as he realized the possibility that Mr. Double had been taken away by the adventurers. The frightening truth began to gradually unfold. Turner was determined to uncover the truth when he realized the adventurers were lying. She believed they had another reason for taking Mr. Double into the forest. Along with Ren, the two children prepared to set out to investigate, driven by their determination to protect the person they cared about. Ren realized that Turner's intuition was accurate. If the adventurers truly had malicious intentions, then Mr. Double might be in danger. Turner decided to go alone to investigate, knowing the journey would be fraught with risks. Ren respected his decision and nodded in agreement, his eyes betraying his concern. Ren tried to stop Turner by clinging tightly to his friend, pleading with him to understand the place he was about to go could be very dangerous. Turner stopped, his face still resolute, but his eyes hinting at anxiety. Despite not knowing what lay ahead, he was determined to go to protect Mr. Double. Turner hugged Ren tightly, insisting that he wouldn't let him take the risk alone. He promised to uncover the adventurers' plot and rescue Mr. Double safely. Despite Ren's attempts to pull him back, Turner remained resolute, ending with a comical faceplant, but also revealing his genuine determination. Turner grabbed a log and jumped over the protective fence, determined to keep his promise. Ren stood behind, watching silently, his heart filled with a mix of emotions, worry, trust, and a hint of hesitation. The quiet atmosphere seemed to highlight Turner's brave decision. Turner had convinced Ren to stay behind, and he set out alone to find Mr. Double. He decided to head east, the direction Ren suspected something was amiss. His heart was filled with determination, but he couldn't hide his worry, and he silently vowed to rescue Mr. Double quickly. However, before venturing deeper into the forest, he suddenly stopped, because there was one important thing he needed to do first. Turner decided to use wood attribute magic, but he had to act secretly, because he didn't want Mr. Double to know about his magical abilities. He cast a spell and summoned vines from the ground, wrapping them tightly around his body, an action that seemed strange, but appeared to be a special preparation for something important that was about to happen. Turner used magic to create a suit of armor made of vines that covered his entire body, hiding his identity. He believed that with this form, Mr. Double wouldn't recognize him. However, the tightly wrapped armor made it difficult for him to move, and he stumbled with each step, creating a scene that was both comical and determined. Old Man Double was fighting against a large group of mercenaries in the forest. Although he was surrounded and panting with exhaustion, he remained calm, grasping his magic tightly. The enemy was astonished by his endurance, and the leader sneered, calling him pitiful, without realizing the true strength that still lay hidden within him. The leader angrily shouted orders to kill the old man, thinking that he was just a lone individual. The soldiers cheered and charged forward, swinging their swords to finish him off quickly. However, Mr. Double stood firm, his eyes cold and sharp, as a powerful aura began to emanate from his body, signaling that his true strength was about to be unleashed. Mr. Double unleashed a series of extremely powerful fireballs, burning many of the soldiers to death in agony. One of them screamed, "Too hot," as flames engulfed his body. The unexpected display of magical power sent the soldiers into a panic. One was knocked into the water, while others tried to extinguish the fierce flames burning on their bodies. The counterattack had officially begun. Mr. Double realized that the situation was becoming unfavorable as the enemy began to take advantage of the terrain, using water to extinguish the flames. 2 soldiers crawled into the river, gasping for breath and trying to recover. He suspected, did they choose this place for that reason? Elsewhere, the commander ordered, "Archers, prepare." The arrows were already nocked, ready to counterattack. The danger was starting to come from a distance. The arrows shot towards Mr. Double, but with a single-hand gesture, he summoned a wave of black flames, incinerating them all before they could reach him. The archers cried out in horror, "Bows are useless," sending the entire team into a panic. The old man stood steadfast amidst the smoke, his eyes cold and full of killing intent. The old man declared resolutely that he wouldn't let them enter the village, his eyes fixed firmly on the enemy. Meanwhile, the leader was displeased that the plan hadn't succeeded when one of his subordinates suddenly shouted, "Look over here, old man," as if preparing a new trick to distract him. The tense atmosphere seemed to signal that a sudden turn of events was about to occur. The enemy suddenly presented 3 weak villagers as hostages, shocking Mr. Double. The man taunted him, saying that they had once sworn to follow him to become adventurers, but now he would utilize them as tools to intimidate. Mr. Double looked at the 3 people, his heart racing with anger and concern, realizing that the bandits would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. In the face of the enemy's ridicule, Mr. Double called them cowards. The leader laughed in response. "Thanks for the compliment." Without further argument, Mr. Double quietly stepped to the river's edge and ordered, "Get into the river." Under his stern and silent gaze, the next plan seemed to have begun. The atmosphere became tenser than ever. The villain threatened that if Mr. Double made any suspicious move, the innocent villagers would lose their lives. He ordered Mr. Double to kneel down and put his hands in the water as an act of humiliation. Mr. Double, calm and composed, obeyed. Meanwhile, one of the soldiers standing nearby sneered with sarcasm. The air was taut with tension, and everyone held their breath waiting for the next development. The soldier pressed his sword against Mr. Double's neck and mocked that he was causing too much trouble. Meanwhile, Mr. Double secretly calculated. Even if he obeyed them, the villagers would not be spared. His hand submerged in the water, revealing a glowing magical droplet about to be activated, a sign that he was prepared for a counterattack. The atmosphere became tense, as if a storm was about to erupt. A massive wave of water suddenly burst forth from where Mr. Double stood, creating a loud explosion that shocked the surrounding enemies. The closest soldier was thrown off and drenched, screaming in surprise. The water magic attack was launched as the first signal of resistance, officially opening the old wizard's counterattack. The old wizard launched a swift counterattack. His 2 hands burst forth water, rushing straight at the enemy and tightly grasping the armor on the soldier's chest, leaving him no time to react. In the moment of surprise, Mr. Double jumped up and delivered a powerful headbutt to the enemy's face, knocking him flying backward. The powerful blow caused the enemies behind to panic and watch in stunned amazement. The soldier who was knocked flying fell onto another, causing both to tumble, and the one behind panicked and shouted. The 2 bound villagers took the opportunity to struggle in fear. The old wizard immediately launched the next attack, swinging his hand to perform water magic with an icy gaze, shouting loudly, "Don't get up," as the magic began to form fiercely in his hands. The old wizard's magic burst forth intensely, creating a wall of fire that separated the enemies, causing the soldiers to panic and retreat. The leader clenched his fist in anger and frustration. Meanwhile, the old wizard turned to the bound villagers sitting next to the fallen guard, coldly declaring, "I will leave this place," and stepped forward, leaving the flames to continue burning fiercely as a warning. As the old wizard turned his back and walked away, the leader suddenly rushed forward and delivered a powerful punch to the old wizard's back. The unexpected blow caused the old wizard to stumble, and blood spurted from his mouth, but his eyes still showed a resolute and unyielding spirit. The sharp pain spread throughout his body, but he still managed to maintain his willpower in the face of the enemy lurking behind. The old man quickly counterattacked with a surprise round kick, causing the enemy to exclaim in surprise. The leader was kicked in the face, stumbling backward, while the old man, despite being injured, struggled to stand firm, gritting his teeth in pain. The anger surged, and the enemy leader shouted loudly, calling the old man out again, and the confrontation between the two sides escalated to a boiling point. The leader, enraged, watched as the old man's figure jumped into the river, water splashing into the air. He roared in frustration, standing on the riverbank with his sword at the ready, but could only watch as the old man's figure drifted further away in the water. His anger surging, he gritted his teeth and cursed loudly. "You foolish old man," realizing he had just let his target escape. They stood on the high ground, shouting down at where the old man had fallen into the water, their voices full of anger. "Hey, down there," then gritted their teeth. "Kill all the kids too." One of them raised his hand, gathering magical energy into a burning droplet of fire, preparing to unleash it. The two children below, Turner and his friend, trembled with fear, sweat pouring down their faces as they faced the deadly attack about to descend from above. The air became suffocating. Turner and Massey rushed to Mr. Double's side in panic, where he was leaning against a rock wall, his body covered in wounds and breathing heavily. Turner shouted loudly, "Mr. Double," but he only replied sternly, "Enoch, Massey, return to the village immediately. Tell everyone what happened." The boy protested, his voice choked, "But you're heavily injured." His face filled with worry and tears streaming down, while Mr. Double remained resolute, his eyes revealing the gravity of the situation. Mr. Double, exhausted and leaning against a tree trunk, spoke in despair. "They will come soon. In this situation, we'll be killed." Turner and Massey sat beside him, also out of breath and full of anxiety. Massey trembled as he asked Turner, "You're going to become an adventurer, right?" But both of them just remained silent, heads bowed, without answering. A crack sound echoed behind them, signaling the approaching enemy. The atmosphere became more oppressive and perilous than ever. Just as Turner and Massey were losing hope, a gigantic, monstrous creature suddenly emerged from the forest. Its body was wrapped in bandages like a mummy, with a wooden log on its head, emitting an aura that was both strange and menacing. Both of them screamed in terror, "WH," as they saw the bizarre creature approaching, unsure whether it was an enemy or an ally. In the dark forest, a monstrous creature wrapped in vines, carrying a wooden stake on its head, emerged from behind a tree. The gigantic body moved heavily but menacingly, causing the two boys to scream in terror. The monster moved towards the two children with glowing eyes. One of the boys screamed, "AAHH," in extreme fear as he saw the giant creature approaching. When the two boys, Enoch and Massey, panicked and screamed at the sight of a terrifying monster, the protagonist, in the form of a monster wrapped in cloth, suddenly recognized them. He was shocked and exclaimed, not understanding why his friends were here. When he turned to follow their gaze, he saw Mr. Double had collapsed under the tree in silence. The worry and fear were evident on the faces of the three as they realized the situation was becoming extremely serious. Mr. Double leaned against the tree, motionless and seemingly completely unconscious. The protagonist, still in the monster's disguise, suddenly stopped when he saw him. He was stunned, his eyes wide with horror. His trembling hand reached out as if to touch him but couldn't. In that moment, he completely broke down, both shocked and in pain. Enoch and Massey were terrified, screaming in despair as the monstrous creature they had thought was a monster approached them. Despite their struggles, both were grabbed by its large arms wrapped in bandages. It was unclear what the creature intended to do, but the fear was evident in the eyes of the two children, who were unable to escape. Both Enoch and Massey were tightly wrapped in thick bandages by the monster, suspended and helpless against its strength. Then the two children were placed near the base of the tree, bound so tightly they couldn't move. Suddenly, the monster spoke, a familiar voice that left the children stunned. "Enoch, Massey, don't move." The feeling of horror began to turn into doubt and amazement. The giant monster, wrapped in bandages, stood silently before Mr. Double's unconscious body. It bent down to check and realized his condition was extremely critical, weak breathing, and a body covered in wounds. Despite its fearsome appearance, its actions and thoughts were full of worry and concern. A great mystery began to unravel. Was this really just a simple monster? The monster gently created a sphere of light from its bandaged hand and placed it on Mr. Double's injured body. Immediately, the wounds on his back began to heal miraculously. Then, the monster quickly lifted his body, preparing to leave. This unexpected and moving action revealed that it was not an enemy, but possibly a savior. As Mr. Double's wounds gradually healed thanks to the healing light, Enoch gasped, his eyes fixed on Mr. Double's body. In that moment, he saw Mr. Double smile peacefully. A feeling of relief, but also deep emotion surged up. Though tears hadn't fallen, Enoch's face tightened, as if he was making a silent promise to himself. The monster knelt down, silently watching Mr. Double as he stood up, the large wound on his back now healed. Mr. Double's eyes became calm, as if he had just gone through both physical and mental pain. In a different corner, Enoch clenched his fists, looking at Mr. Double with deep emotion and determination, as if ready to step forward on his own path. A group of villagers entered the forest and were horrified when they faced a giant creature wrapped in bandages, emitting a menacing aura. They panicked and wondered, "What is that monster?" Meanwhile, the mysterious creature just silently looked back, its eyes under the bandages seemingly hiding something deeper than ferocity. The villagers suspected that the bandaged creature was an accomplice of the villains who had attacked them. In their panic, they raised their weapons, but the creature's eyes were full of anger and sorrow as it looked at the old man's corpse. It wondered if these people were the culprits who had severely injured the kind old man, and its gaze began to emit a murderous intent. A sudden shock made the group standing before the monster jump. In an instant, a thunderous strike was unleashed, strong enough to blast one of the group members into the air, leaving a trail of light that tore through the night sky. The group was stunned by the terrifying power they had just witnessed. The bandaged monster threw a powerful punch at the tall warrior, sending him flying in a state of utter panic among his companions. The strike was so strong that it not only knocked the opponent unconscious, but also left the remaining men frozen in fear, realizing they had just provoked a terrifying force. The two soldiers panicked and ran away when they saw the bandaged monster swing its fist with glowing, ferocious eyes. However, before they could escape, they were both attacked strongly and flung away like rag dolls, demonstrating the creature's superior and terrifying strength. The soldier panicked and scrambled to his feet after the devastating blow, while the bandaged monster slowly approached with eyes full of indignation. It pictured Enoch and Massey in its mind, along with the angry thought, "They are the ones who harmed those two children." The enemy was now clear. It was time to retaliate. The bandaged monster clenched its fists, its eyes blazing with hatred as it recalled Mr. Double's suffering. It roared in its mind, its power surging. In the sky, sparkling fragments of light seemed to signal an impending explosion. The moment of revenge for the old man had arrived. Ren appeared with a cold expression, his sharp eyes full of caution. In the yard, the two boys asked Turner if he had seen Ren, but didn't get an immediate answer. The atmosphere was somewhat tense, as if someone was hiding something or something was about to happen. Turner replied that Ren was playing hide-and-seek. The two boys eagerly asked to join in. One of them even confidently claimed that he would find Ren despite his skill at hiding. Meanwhile, Turner maintained an unreadable expression, as if he knew more than he was letting on. The atmosphere became both innocent and subtly suspicious. After the intense battle, the protagonist in the fabric wrapping gasped for breath, realizing he had almost killed his enemies because his anger had overwhelmed his rationality. The defeated enemies lay scattered amidst the rising smoke. Meanwhile, Ren, who was currently controlling the monster, looked horrified and regretful, realizing his strength could be beyond his control. Tormenting emotions began to emerge in his heart. Ren, in his monstrous form, gazed at the fallen enemies, but did not deliver the final blow. His heart was filled with conflict and self-doubt. Despite being enraged and hurt by their actions, Ren acknowledged that he couldn't kill anyone. He bowed his head, his sweat and tears mixing together, his heart filled with regret and helplessness due to his lack of courage to end things violently. Ren, in his bandaged monstrous form, had tightly bound and hung the villains from a tree. They were tied upside down, completely immobile and unable to resist. Ren walked away calmly, his cold eyes observing what he had just done, thinking to himself, "Now they can't move anymore." He didn't kill them, but punished them by rendering them harmless, demonstrating the control and rationality he had regained after his outburst of anger. Ren, in his monstrous form, immediately detected the approach of many strangers. With a wary gaze and a defensive stance, he noticed the unusually large number of enemies. In the distance, a group of 4 villains, including a bald-headed man, a scar-faced man, and a man with a fierce expression, confirmed that Ren was their target. Tension began to rise, signaling a dangerous confrontation about to occur. Ren, in his monstrous form, quickly carried the unconscious Enoch, Massey, and Mr. Double and ran through the dense forest. He brought them to a cave hidden deep within the mountains, thinking, if it's this place then. Inside, the two children woke up in a state of confusion, unsure of what was happening. Ren gently placed them down, trying to find a safe haven before the pursuit continued. Ren, in his bandaged monstrous form, skillfully hid Enoch, Massey, and Mr. Double behind a thick bush, ensuring their safety. Looking at them one last time to make sure they weren't discovered, he thought to himself, it's okay, I've hidden them. His gaze immediately turned cold as he looked towards the enemies, thinking, now all I have to do is take care of them. The atmosphere became tense in anticipation of the upcoming battle. One of the enemies detected something unusual among the trees, a dark shadow passing by, making him cautious. When he looked up, he was shocked to see Enoch, Massey, and Mr. Double hanging upside down, tied tightly to a branch. His expression changed to one of surprise mixed with confusion. What the heck is this? This unexpected presence signaled that something ominous was approaching. The accomplices panicked when they discovered that two soldiers were bound and gagged, hung in a pitiful manner. The leader angrily shouted, "What's going on here?" While the two captives could only mumble, sweat pouring down their faces due to fear, their eyes pleading for help. The tense atmosphere signaled that the attacker was still lurking somewhere, ready to strike. As the leader was still looking up in bewilderment, a large shadow suddenly swooped down from above with tremendous force. It was the bandaged monster, the main character, landing on the ground like a meteorite, creating a violent shockwave. The surrounding enemies recoiled in terror, and the scene became chaotic in an instant. The real battle had begun. The leader panicked and shouted angrily when he saw the monster appear on the battlefield, breaking the initial agreement. He yelled, "We agreed there wouldn't be any monsters." Meanwhile, Ren stood observing from a distance with a cold gaze, while the monster's imposing figure loomed closer, completely turning the situation around. The enemies screamed in panic, "There's a monster here," as they witnessed the giant creature land, causing the ground to crack under its impact. But beneath the surface, Ren was revealed within the monster's wrappings, half his body visible in the dim light, his resolute eyes showing that he was the one controlling the monster, or that he was it. The revelation was shocking, completely reversing the situation.